Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. Got the third lesson in a mini-series of some of the early Motown stroke Jamerson bass lines. Today we're looking at a Supremes tune called Back in My Arms Again. Pretty easy. What's interesting to note, this was done in 1965. Very eighth note kind of feel, but there's a couple of sections in the pre-choruses, and I'm going to cover two pre-choruses in the lesson where Jamerson is starting to get away from the kind of rhythmic strictures that perhaps were imposed on him in the studio, and he's starting to insert some interesting little 16th note runs, and you can start to 16th note patterns, and you can start to see the genesis of some of the ideas that he later used in some of his later 16th note masterpieces in kind of the 66, 67, 68 period of Motown. So it's a really interesting lesson from that point of view, but if you're a relative beginner, it's quite an easy tune to pick up, and definitely worth looking at. Anything Jamerson is worth looking at, in my opinion. There's a bunch of stuff you can learn from his bass lines. Before we just head over to the lesson, don't forget, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly e-zine, please click on the link underneath the video, head over to my website and subscribe. You'll get some free goodies, some video and PDF lessons as a thank you for subscribing. So do go and do that, and let's move on to the lesson, and let's go and look at the introduction, which also serves as the chorus figure. The intro section, it's an 8-bar section. You can also use this 8-bar section as the chorus too. There's a 2-beat pickup, which I'll play, and it's the kind of the riff that goes through the chorus and the intro. Let's play it. 1, 2. Go into the verse. So it's pretty straightforward. Mostly you're pedaling on that note there, which is C, 3rd fret of the A string. The riff itself is made up of 2 Gs. You could either play 5th fret of the D string or the open G string, of course, then A at the 2nd fret of the G string, and then drop down to C, and that C is on the and of the 4th beat of the bar, and then that holds over onto the 1st beat of the bar, so you've got a bit of anticipation. So listen again. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So you've got that anticipation happening with when you drop down to C from that open A. And as I say, you can also play it with the open G string. Purely dependent on what your fingering system is, how you prefer to fret notes on your bass, where you're comfortable, what fret locations you're comfortable with. Practice both ways, find out which way works the most comfortably for you. After the intro, we've got the verse. Now the verse is an 8-bar pattern, and it's pretty similar to what we've just looked at in many ways. What's very interesting, though, from a theoretical point of view, is if you listen to the chords going through this section, you've got a bar of C and then a bar of D minor. But Jamerson stays on C all the time and creates a nice little pedal tone, which creates some tension, which then, each time he plays it over the D minor chord, gets resolved when he hits that riff again. Goes back to C, which is also then a C, the root note of a C chord. So it's a nice little effect, something to have a look at, have a listen to. If you can employ that kind of device when you're creating your own bass lines, you can create some interesting stuff. I'll play through the 8 bars and we'll talk through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and those last 2 notes are kind of the lead into the pre-chorus section, which we'll look at in a moment. So again, this is very straightforward, exactly the same notes as the intro. You've got C, 3rd fret of the A string, and then you've got G and A, 5th frets of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, or you can play that G with the open G string. And the only thing that's really changed here is the rhythm. Instead of playing 8th notes, we're playing a very standard R&B rhythm. And then you're hitting that and if you listen to the original, you'll hear that the sax and some of the other instruments play that as well as the verse progresses, so you've always got something to play that against as well, so you can hear where it comes. So that's very straightforward. And then all I did at the end, to get down to the pre-chorus, which starts off in F, I'm going to show you two ways. The way that I just played was this, which is G, 5th fret, D string, F, 3rd fret of the D string, and then we're going to go down to the first pre-chorus and start at F, the 1st fret of the E string. But the second pre-chorus is going to start at F at the 3rd fret of the D string. So the second time round you will play this, which is like a chromatic rundown to that F. So you go, which is G and G flat, 5th and 4th frets of the D string before you hit that F on the downbeat of the second pre-chorus. So let's go and look at that first pre-chorus. As we just discussed in the verse, pre-chorus 1 starts here, F, 3rd fret of the E string. I'll play through it, it's an 8-bar pattern, then we'll talk through the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Riff again, G, A, back to C to finish off the pattern. So let's go through this bar by bar. The first bar just consists of F, either at the 1st fret of the E string or the octave, 3rd fret of the D string. And the rhythm's this. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a quarter note, low F, then all 8th notes, high F, low F, 2 more low Fs, high F, finish with low F. So then for the second bar the pattern moves up, very similar for G, 3rd fret of the E string, 5th fret of the D string, and you've got this, and you've got the last note instead of being a G is the open D string. So this is the pattern. So you've got low G, high G, low G, low G, low G, high G, open D string. Then the third bar is E, 2nd fret of the D string, and then the last 8th note is an A, open A string, and then the 4th bar is A, and consists mainly of A and the octave, open A string, A the octave, 2nd fret of the G string. So the 4th bar is, so you've got low A, high A, low A, low A, high A, and then you've got this little run at the end of the bar, high A, open D, E, 2nd fret of the D string, which leads to F, 3rd fret of the D string at the downbeat of the 5th bar. So the 5th bar is this. What you've got is high F, high F, high F, all 3rd fret of the D string, open D string, C, 3rd fret of the A string, C again, open A string. That sort of rhythm, typical Jamerson sounding pattern as well, as he started putting a few 16th notes into 8th note bass tunes. 6th bar is just G again, and you go down to the open E string before you land on the E chord. So it's low G, high G, low G, low G, low G, open E string. The G positions again, 3rd fret of the E string, 5th fret of the D string. 7th bar is just open E strings. And then the 8th bar starts off with 2 hits on the open A string. And there's a little half beat pause and you've got that run again. G, G, high A, back down to C, and then you're into the chorus. So write down those note locations or memorise them. Listen back to the start of this section where I played through with the metronome and you should be able to get it. There's a variation, or some nice variations you can put in on the second pre-chorus, so let's go and have a listen and look at that. Second pre-chorus starts here, the F at the 3rd fret of the D string. Let's play through it. It's an 8-bar pattern again, then we'll talk through the notes. 2, 3, 4. So similar to the last pre-chorus, but some differences, enough to make it worthwhile learning. Again, we'll go through it bar by bar. First bar starts off at this high F, 3rd fret of the D string. Then you've got open A string, C, open A string, low F. C's 3rd fret of the A string, low F, 1st fret of the E string. And the kind of rhythm for that, I'm going to play it really slowly. And it's important when you go down from that 2nd open A string down to the F that you either mute the open A string with this part of your finger, so it's lightly resting on the A string to mute it, or if you do right hand muting, they use a finger to mute that open A string so it doesn't ring and make it muddy. That's what happens if you don't mute it. It will sound really muddy down in that register. Now the second bar is G. So you've got low G, 3rd fret of the E string, high G, 5th fret of the D string, low G, high G, low G, and then there's a walk down to the E chord on the 3rd bar, and that hits the F, the 1st fret of the E string. And then you've got for the E bar, the 3rd bar of the 2nd pre-chorus, which is 2 on the open E's, and then B, 2nd fret of the A string, and a chromatic passing note, B flat, 1st fret of the A string. 4th bar is in A. You've just got 3 low open A's, and then you've got 2 high A's, 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, pardon me, and then you've got an open D as the last 8th note of that bar. So that 4th bar again is, and the 5th bar is just F, just on the 3rd fret of the D string, this kind of rhythm. And then the 6th bar, back to G, very similar pattern to the 2nd bar, but just the emphasis is up an octave. You've got that walk down again from G to F at the end of it, leading to E. So you start high G, low G, high G, G, F, 3rd fret of the D string. Then you're down to E. Nice little pattern there, using a typical Jamerson bounce down to the lower 5th. You've got E, 2nd fret of the D string, 2 more on that E, another one on that E, 16th note down on the B at the 2nd fret of the A string, back to the E, back to the B. So the rhythm of that is, and then you've got an open A string, half beat pause, and you've got that riff again, and you're back into the chorus. Or you can play it with the open G string, as I said at the top of the lesson. So you should be able to take those different parts of the song, correlate them with the original, work out a roadmap of how the song fits together, play those parts in order and play along with the song. As I said in the start of the lesson, some cool things to pick up from anything that Jamerson did, and you can apply it whether you're a rock bassist or a funk bassist or whatever genre it is. Jamerson was the godfather of modern bass, and a lot of the things that people do in bass lines came from his adaptation of his walking bass roots to the electric and how he used it in Motown. So very worth studying him. And there'll be some more lessons, some more early Jamerson lessons along soon. Don't forget, just before I go, if you're not already a subscriber to my free monthly e-zine, do click on the link underneath the video and head over to my website and subscribe. You'll get some free goodies, some video lessons that you can't see unless you're a subscriber, and there's PDFs to go with them, plus there's a new one every month as well. So hope you go and do that, and I'll see you on the other side, and I'll catch you in the next video.